Welcome to On the Edge of Health and Design, the podcast where healthcare meets design, with your hosts, Nita and Sylvia.
Hi, everyone. Today we're speaking with Demi Yoo, a marketing professional working in fashion with a passion for health and wellness. Demi is a huge advocate for taking intentional steps to design your life. Welcome, Demi.
Hi Sylvia. It's so good to see you guys. Hi everyone watching the podcast. I'm Demi.
Thanks for being here today with us, Demi. To start our interview off, what does design for health mean to you?
Design for health. Let me preface it by saying, like, I know Nita from Toastmasters, and she told me that she has a podcast. When you told me the name of the podcast, On the Edge of Health and Design, I immediately, it resonated with me because mm, health and wellness is a huge passion of mine. I call myself like growth junkie and like self-help junkie because that's how obsessed I am with growth, wellness, and just becoming a better version of myself every single day. And then the design factor I thought was really interesting. You rarely sort of hear those two words together, like design and health, but the reason why it resonated with me so much is because I think part of my wellness and mindfulness journey, the biggest outcome of that is that I became a lot more intentional about how I want to live my life, hence how I want to design my life.
Thank you so much, Demi. We've had a lot of people from healthcare background lately coming on the podcast, so I thought we definitely need to balance that out with a little bit from the design and art perspective. And I think you bring that with your background in marketing and fashion, and it's just a perspective that we haven't had before. So for example, this solo podcast that I did in May when you couldn't join us, I talked about designing better shift work experiences. That's also a focus on yourself as an individual and what can you do to design that experience for yourself and make it better. I know that you talked about your health and wellness journey with us when we were preparing for this podcast. Can you tell us a little bit more about that for our listeners and what inspired you to take those intentional steps to design your own wellness?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this from feeling like I'm becoming, even if it's like 1% or like 0.01%, that feeling of progression and that feeling of becoming a better version, whether it's from a physical health perspective or a mental perspective or from a professional or a personal perspective, I think I find a lot of joy in that. So I've always been that person. But when it comes to wellness and health and mindfulness, especially, the journey really began approximately like 3 to 4 years ago when I was going through some major life transitions. And for the first time in my life, felt what being depressed means. And not to say that I was diagnosed with depression or anything along those lines, but I felt very low in energy and I was doubting everything in my life. Like, I think low key, I was having a quarter life crisis a little bit earlier than I expected. And that helped me, or that sparked curiosity in me to start looking for ways to feel better. And I think the first introduction to the concept of mindfulness was when I stumbled upon this YouTube video. Just a random like algorithm recommended this video about meditation, and I've known about meditation for so long. Like I've heard of meditation. I was never interested in it. It sounded really boring and dull. I didn't really understand what it could do for me also. So was never interested, but that something about that particular video and how the creator was able to explain it in a very spiritual, but also in a science-backed way, really piqued my interest and motivated me to try meditation consistently. So I believe I downloaded Headspace. Like that was the number one app in the industry. I downloaded it. I started their free 30-day trial and just started meditating, I think like 5 minutes every single day. And at first, didn't really, make a difference, but I told myself that I'm going to stick with it for at least 2 weeks to see if it helps me in any way. So I did. And I think along a week and a half, when I was meditating for 5 minutes every single day, I've noticed a bit of a shift in my ability to observe my emotions. And there was this like 1 second delay between me feeling something and me reacting to how I felt. I've noticed that there was this 1 second delay that helped me rather than react automatically to whatever emotion I was feeling. I was able to more intentionally choose my response to that emotion or that situation. So once I noticed that, I was hooked and I experienced firsthand how powerful meditation and mindfulness practices could be in that very moment that ever since then I've been meditating every single day. And it's honestly changed my life.
I attended a course a few years ago. I think it was somewhere around 2009, 2010. So quite a long time ago. And I experienced something similar. Like I got up to meditating 45 minutes a day by the end of the course. But then I sort of dropped off that meditation bandwagon, if you will. And I kind of regret that because it does affect how you react.
Yeah, it is really tough to find time for this. But I think for me at least, like once I've experienced the benefits and how it's actually, impacting my life in so many different ways, I couldn't stop.
For sure. And I think it's a really important thing to do especially in the type of society we live in nowadays. Like it's like everybody's so reactionary to everything.
Yeah.
Like we have a lot of frustration, anger going on. Like if we could all just kind of come together and meditate for like a couple of minutes, it doesn't even have to be five. Like
Yeah.
imagine the impact that would have on the world. Because I like your approach to it. Like you took 5 minutes a day and you just sort of you dedicated yourself to that. And then Nita, you did a course because I've also been trying to get into meditation. I'm doing a challenge right now through work
Yeah.
where I have to be mindful. Like
Mm.
I either have to do breathing techniques or meditation, and I'm trying to do different things. And I think that's an issue. Um, do you say like do you think you have to be consistent?
To answer your question though, Sylvia, I think for one to be consistent, one needs to enjoy it, like enjoy what you're doing, and you need to see the value of it, and you have to experience the impact of it directly. So I think there's so many types of mindfulness practices out there. Meditation is one out of a gazillion. I know breath work is another great mindfulness practice that a lot of people adopt, and I love it. I try it. I try to practice it, especially on days where I don't feel like meditating, because like meditating, you almost need to already be in this like state of a bit of calm. But some days your like head is just so full with thoughts and you just can't get it to stop. Breathwork is excellent for an instant state shift. There's so many different things like journaling, yoga if you want to get some movement in. I know hot and cold therapy nowadays is another big trend. Sauna, cold plunge, doing that back and forth. I know it also has a lot of health and immune system benefits as well, in addition to the mindfulness benefits. So that's another one. Even things like dancing, right? Like I know a bunch of people who find dancing so meditative because you're in the zone. Like you're not thinking about anything else when you're dancing and you're just like trying to get the moves and you're in the body. You're feeling your body, you're expressing yourself, and that could be your way of meditating or finding that consistent practice of mindfulness. So like going back to the point, I think there's infinite options and you really need to just be open to trying different things out there and choose the one that you find joyful.
I think that's a really good point, and I'm glad you reminded me of that because I've heard of that before. Whenever you're in the zone with whatever you're doing and you're really enjoying what you're doing, like I was thinking of even sports, like if you're doing
Yeah.
sports or anything, like that's meditative.
So, since we're talking about meditation, I just wanted to skip over to a question that I was curious about the Vipassana meditation that retreat that you've been on, and just if you could tell people what that
Yeah.
is, first of all, and what does it involve?
So Vipassana, for those of you who are not familiar, is a ancient meditation technique that originated from India. And mm, there's so many different ways to explain it. It's been around for so long and it has such a long history and legacy. But the way that I found out about it was actually through one of my ex-boyfriends. He told me about it first, and when he initially told me about it, I was like, this sounds like a crazy thing for a person to do. But the first thing that you need to start with is a 10-day retreat where you're spending 10 hours per day meditating with a group of people. So that's 100 hours of meditation in 10 days. And there's a list of rules that we need to strictly follow while you're going through the program, like no meat, like no dinner. Oh my God, there's so many. But basically, like you're experiencing what it's like to live like a monk for 10 days. So when I first heard about it, I was like, no way, no, that does not sound interesting to me at all. And then when I started my meditation journey when I was going through that life transition and realized how powerful it could be, I remember what my ex-boyfriend told me about this like meditation retreat, Vipassana that exists, and it had such an it was a very meaningful thing for him. And he went back a few times to even volunteer at the retreat center and do it again. So clearly it did something for him that it piqued my interest when I was actually seeing the benefits of meditation. I was like, maybe I should consider doing this intensive thing and see what it could do for me. So that's how I decided to sign up. It's completely free. It's all volunteer based. It's open to anyone. You just need to make sure that you're setting an alarm on the day that the sign up goes live, and you need to make sure that you get on the list because it's first come, first serve. But it's accessible to anyone. And there's one retreat center here in Ontario, actually, in Egbert, not too far from Toronto. So I thought, perfect, signed up, made it to the list, and I went to the retreat. Overall, incredibly, incredibly challenging experience. I don't think I've ever done anything to this level of it feeling challenging, not just like mentally, but physically, because you're sitting down for such a long time. And part of the practice actually is you can't move your legs. Like you shouldn't be fidgeting because the goal is to be able to stay calm and find your equanimity in state of discomfort, in state of physical discomfort, whether it's like knee pains or back pains or you feel like scratching your neck or whatever it may be. Like all these sensations arise while you're meditating, right? But the goal is to stay what's that word? I can't pronounce it ever. To find equanimity. Equanimity. Do you guys know that word?
Yeah.
So that's the point of the practice. So incredibly challenging physically, but coming out of that experience has number one really enhanced my meditation practice. I wouldn't say easily, but I can meditate for like an hour, 2 hours. I would not have been able to do that prior to the retreat. Second, there were a lot of insights about myself that I gathered through the experience. So it was an opportunity for me to learn about myself at a much deeper level than I've ever been able to in the past. And finally, the universal truth that everything is impermanent is one of the main like lessons of the Vipassana meditation technique is that everything is impermanent. So there's no point in clinging or attaching to things, to relationships, to people, to even myself, my ego, my wants, my desires. Like everything in life is impermanent. So be mindful, stay present, and like that is the lesson or the insight that this practice is trying to teach people. It's been 2 years since I went to my first retreat, and yeah, I want to go back. Like I want to do it again. Interestingly enough, because I know the impact, and I know the insight is there, that like despite the challenges, I want to go back. So I think I might do it again pretty soon.
But I really like that. I really like how you explain that, because now I I kind of want to try it.
But if what you just heard from me piques your interest and curiosity,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
probably a sign that you should try it.
We wanted to talk about this cycle of positive
Yes,
reinforcement.
yes. The virtuous cycle, I call it.
Yeah, it's the alignment of, I think, the design process and designing your life.
Mhm.
And you brought that up when we were talking in preparation for this. So I thought that's something that's so interesting that I hadn't heard about. So please
Yeah,
share.
for sure. So obviously, like the mindfulness journey, what that's done for me is help me realize what I want truly in my life, and where the gaps are. And when I realized that, I was like observing my actions and what I'm actually doing today to get to a state or get to that goal that I'm aiming for. Does that make sense? Um, I realize that there's a lot of things that I'm doing wrong. Because, like, for example, mm, I wanted to feel confident in my own skin. Like, I really wanted to be my authentic self and be unapologetically me in whatever setting I'm in. With friends and family, it's much easier. But even in professional settings, I found myself almost like putting on a mask or telling myself that I need to be a certain way to impress certain people and to get the promotion that I want or get the job that I want. When I came to that realization, one of the things that I noticed was the reason why I don't feel confident in myself is because I don't have trust in myself. And then I dug deeper to say, why don't I trust myself? And then I realized I don't trust myself because I don't keep promises with myself. And the promises that I don't keep with myself are actually very little things, like waking up when the alarm rings. Like I tell myself I'm going to wake up at 6:30, but I don't. I snooze like a gazillion times, and it really annoys the hell out of my boyfriend because now it wakes him up. So that's one. Another thing was I wasn't speaking up when I wanted to speak up. Like I would have very strong opinions about something, or I would know that what is going on or what someone's saying isn't right. And in my mind, like I would wanna to speak up and share my opinion and use my voice. But I wasn't doing that. That's another example of where I noticed I wasn't showing up the way that I wanted to. So I was almost disproving myself every day through my own actions that I was respect worthy, trustworthy, and was worthy of being confident, being my true authentic self. That's why I created this thing called virtuous cycle mapping for myself, because what I noticed was I had a vicious cycle of doing things that goes against my intentions and what I truly want for myself. And that was just, negatively reinforcing my confidence, my self-respect, my self-love. So I thought, let me flip that. Let's try it the other way around. Let's create a virtuous cycle for myself. What I did was I set reminders for myself every single day. At 6:30, I have a reminder for myself that says wake up. At 11 a.m., it says speak up. And then at 3 p.m., it's show up. So I didn't speak about show up, but show up is basically like if you said you're going to go to yoga class after work, show
Yeah.
up. Like actually do the damn
Negative.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, Something like that. So 3 reminders, very small, simple things, but having that reminder and having that pop up on my screen, and if I don't checkbox it, then it's there. Like it doesn't go away. So it keeps like staring at my face. So it reminds you constantly what you need to do. And that feeling of checking it off once you wake up in time at 6:30, checkbox. You start your day with a win. You know, you're already a winner at that point. And then at 11 a.m., that's like usually for my workday, my meetings start very early. So at around 11 a.m., I've already had like 3 to 4 meetings already. So I can check in with myself and say, did I speak up when I want to? And I give that checkbox for myself. Second win of the day already. And then by 3 p.m., I give myself that third check mark, show up, and that's it. Like I give myself 3 check marks. I win, 3 wins, and I do it all over again the next day. And it keeps going. And the compounding impact that this has in your self-confidence is insane. Yeah. So that's what the vicious, not vicious, virtuous cycle is. And the thing is, like, I put wake up, speak up, show up because I've noticed that those were the areas where I had opportunities. But this could be different for everyone, right?
And it applies across the board for a lot of things too.
Really? Okay.
My first thought was like, sometimes I'm like, oh, like I need to eat healthier, like I need to have
Yeah.
healthier snacks because I
Yeah.
get into the cycle of like some people, I'm sure not everybody, but like I know I'm like I love eating chips.
Mm.
That's like I'm like I just want chips. You know when
Yeah.
you're like stressed out and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
I just want to eat that,
Yeah.
you know, that sweet or salty
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But and you gravitate obviously to the junk food.
Mm.
Um,
How about switch up?
switch up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
whenever you're craving like chips, something
Yeah.
unhealthy, switch it up to something healthier, like a fruit or I don't know. So maybe that could be a reminder.
Yeah.
Like, what time do you typically like gravitate towards grabbing
It'll be
snack?
the afternoon when I'm
Afternoon?
working. Yeah,
Okay. So maybe
always.
like
And it
two
has to
or
be
three
something
things.
crunchy too. See, this is the thing. I have
Mm.
to have something because I work from home most of the time. I
Mm.
have to be near something crunchy. So it has to be a crunchy fruit
Mm.
or
Crunchy
crunchy,
fruit.
I don't know what, because it's that sensation too. That's another thing. Like
Yeah.
you want that you want to hear it and you
How
want
about
to feel it.
almonds?
Yeah,
Almonds?
I have nuts. See, that's the thing. I also think I'm like, well, I have nuts. I should be
Yeah.
eating that.
There you go. So if you have that reminder that says
Yeah.
switch up and you know what that means for you,
Yeah.
when you're like craving that unhealthy snack, you switch up, give yourself a check mark, and that's a big win. And you've
Yep.
done something for yourself.
Yep.
And you kept promise with yourself. And that, I don't know, it's so crazy how much of a compounding impact that has
Hmm.
on your confidence. Obviously, it will make you healthier. So that there will be
It makes
that
you feel better mentally too, right? Like it's
mentally, yeah.
mentally, if you're,
Think about the fact that you're intentionally choosing something that is good
yeah,
for you
yeah.
is is a factor there too.
Hmm.
It reminds me of childhood and where you collected gold stars. Like if
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
did
Yeah.
something,
The thing
yeah,
is like,
I don't think that happens in
God,
modern childhoods now, but we had like
yeah,
stickers with
yeah.
gold
yeah.
Yeah, I
stars.
think that's human
And then you
beings.
feel a sense of validation. And I mean, it translates into things like social media likes
Yes.
and that
Mhm.
kind of those kind of
Yes.
hits. But I like the idea of giving it to
Yeah.
yourself, like not seeking it from an external
Mm-hmm.
source, right? Like I think that's what you're
Yes.
talking about that makes a huge difference in your own
Yes.
confidence is you're validating
Yes.
yourself, you're making those healthier
Yes.
decisions yourself. And then
Exactly.
ultimately, these small choices can lead to the process of redesigning something in
Yes.
your life.
I love that you bring up the point of the virtuous cycle, which is that you're validating yourself. Because I think true self-confidence comes from you, yourself, knowing that you are worth it. And it doesn't matter what other people think or say or what they view you. They might think you're like a world-class I don't know, a healthy eater, that's using that example, but if you know that behind the scenes that you're always reaching for those snacks that's not good for you, then like you know yourself better than anyone. So building that trust with yourself and getting to a point where you yourself is respecting yourself because you know you do difficult things and make the right choices even when you don't feel like it, that's when you get that true, like real, unshakable confidence. So I love that you like pointed that out. I think that's a very important point. And then the last thing that I want to say about the virtuous cycle model is the point of, or like, the reason why I think it works so well is because it's so simple and so easy. So if anyone wants to actually give this a try, like try to keep it to three things and try to make the action items like really simple. You know, like waking up, speaking up, showing up. Like these are things that you can do like, if you are intentional about it. So make these reminders like really simple, tiny things. Like start really, really small. And once you become so confident in these three things and you don't even need these reminders anymore, then you can switch it up and continue to evolve it. And that's how you continue to create that virtual cycle for yourself and continue to grow in your journey.
You've given us and our listeners a lot to think about in starting their own health and wellness journeys. But what would you say is one key takeaway that you'd like to leave us with?
Choose happiness is what I would want to end with. Going back to the theme, design, right? It's a choice. We're able to choose how we live and how we feel. And if you want to be happy, if you want to be peaceful, everything that you could possibly want or need is within you. So choose to be happy and you will be.
I like that. Yeah, like it just makes happiness more in your control, I guess.
And I recently read this in a book and it was really powerful to me, but I want to share and see how you guys feel. So the passage was success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get. Success is getting what you want. Happiness is wanting what you get.
So basically accepting
Yeah. And
that,
choosing to want something that you already have.
yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's powerful.
Being present. I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of saying also, like, I know that's kind of overused, but that's what I'm sort of
Hmm.
understanding from it. I don't
Yeah.
know. What are your thoughts? Sorry. I
No, I agree. It's like I think the way that it was worded, because yes, like success is getting what you want. We hear so many stories about people who are so well off, so wealthy, and yet they're so unhappy in life. And the second passage, which is like happiness is wanting what you get, is happiness has nothing to do with getting all these external like material things. It's if you choose to appreciate, accept, and have gratitude for what you already have in your life, then you already have access to happiness.
I think it emphasizes gratitude, as you mentioned. And there's whole meditation practices devoted to gratitude.
Feeling gratitude is a muscle. So the more you
Mm,
practice it, the easier it gets to feel gratitude. And you know that feeling when you feel like true, like when you feel truly grateful for something, you get this like sensation in your body. It's this like warmth and relaxation. Like that is the definition of high vibe, like high vibration, you know, and high vibe attracts other high vibes, you know, whether it's people
yeah.
or things or experiences or opportunities. So, yeah, I love that you bring gratitude up, you know, because, like, yeah, absolutely. I think gratitude is so powerful. And the best thing about it is that it can be learned.
Mm, yeah.
the, I mean, like it's true for the opposite. We have like our
Hmm.
like if you're negative, you're gonna attract all the negative in your life. And then you could fall into that depression and then you wonder
Yeah,
like why,
yeah,
not necessarily like a depression, but like some sort of sadness or like the
yeah,
why me. like
Yeah.
victimhood
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Yeah.
you know?
And feel that
Like, why
like
is this
sense of
happening?
resentment and
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's hard to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Demi, you didn't mention it in this episode, but we know that you work in fashion. So we wanted to know, what's your preferred yoga or meditation outfit or brand and why?
I will tell you, I've literally tried every single brand out there. Like, because I like trying new things, and
Yeah.
if it's an emerging brand, it's a new brand that everyone's talking about. I want to try it. So I've tried most things, and I keep going back to Lululemon. Like
Hmm.
the good old
Hmm.
Lululemon. I think they have one of the best qualities. Like they know what they're doing. Um, and they've really they started now they're like a huge athleisure company, but they started
Yeah.
with yoga. So that's in their DNA, and they just know how to make really good leggings. So I would say Lululemon.
Awesome. I like my Lululemon leggings
Yeah.
too.
And they last
They
so
do.
good. Hmm.
This podcast is not sponsored by
Yeah.
Lululemon, but maybe it should be. We're wearing your stuff. And if you want to sponsor us, give us a shout out.
Tag Lululemon.
One last question. How could our listeners connect with you?
I mean, I would love to connect. I don't have a public profile. So maybe I can leave my email address.
Sure.
And I think that would be the best way to reach me.
Thank you so much, Demi.
Thank you so much, both. This was such a, I don't know, I didn't feel like we were recording a podcast. I felt like we were just having a conversation on a heart to heart,
Yeah.
to heart, since we're three different.
To recap today's episode, we chatted with Demi Yoo, a marketing professional who is also a self-described health and wellness junkie. Demi discovered meditation during a dark period in her life, and she found that this helped her mental health tremendously. Demi shared her most challenging meditation experience to date, a 10-day Vipassana retreat that had her meditating for 100 hours. In our post-episode conversation, Demi shared that Vipassana retreats can have various different guidelines, including no phones and no talking. There may or may not be dinner. In Demi's words, this experience changed her life. If you're interested in this and live in Ontario, Canada, see our show notes for details on how to register. Finally, Demi created her personal virtuous cycle of positive reinforcement, a design process that has helped her redesign her life. You can try this too by thinking about 3 small actions that would help you establish a better relationship with the most important person in your life, yourself. Demi's key takeaway advises us to choose happiness and embrace gratitude, preferably while wearing Lululemon leggings. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did.
Thank you for joining us on The Edge. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with others or leave a comment or rating. Stay tuned for more episodes of On the Edge of Health and Design.